All right. Andy Ruiz says he is going to beat Anthony Joshua even easier in the rematch. I don't think that's the case, but I believe the only way that he can possibly win that fight is by knocking out Anthony Joshua twice in the same round. Like, they're going to pick him up, wake up Anthony Joshua, and go again, because that organization is so corrupt and so blatant in their corruption that it's hard for me to imagine that they can't stack the decks heavy enough for Anthony Joshua that they can't pull this off. Anyway, we're going to talk about that in this video. All right, welcome back to the channel, subscribers. If you are not subscribed, please subscribe and hit the bell icon so you can be notified of when we release more videos. And please, I want to say thank you very much to the Patreons that support the channel. Definitely check out the video that we have about some legislation that came out in Evanston, Illinois, and it is related to a very important topic that we talk about over there on the Patreon. Make sure you check this one out. Also, thank you guys to the live stream community. Make sure you come to OG Boxing Talk Sunday, 8 a.m. Central Standard Time with myself, the Blood Boxing, KQKC Boxing, Curtis Anderson, and Trap House Boxing, where we wrap up the week in boxing and we talk about a lot of boxing subjects with mature boxing fans in a chat that's full with mature boxing fans. No trolls, no name calling. It's a very good place if you want to come chop up and talk about boxing on Sunday mornings. Now, let's get into this. Andy Ruiz, first of all, the judges have been selected for Andy Ruiz and Anthony Joshua fight, and also the referee. I'm not going to say their names. One is from the United States. One is, I do believe, is from Canada, and the other one I do believe is from the UK. Now, I'm going to say this first and foremost. Just because a judge is from a different country does not make them neutral. Does not make them neutral. We went through and looked at how many of these guys have already judged Anthony Joshua fights. Several of them have already judged a bunch of Anthony Joshua fights. That means they've already been flown over there to another fight by the promoter who pays for them to travel, right? So he's already wined and dined at least two of those referees. Two of the judges already. Okay, so maybe neutral countries. They're from a neutral country, but that doesn't mean they're neutral. Well, they've already used to doing business with Matchroom Boxing and have judged Anthony Joshua in several other fights. So if they've already consistently scored fights for Anthony Joshua, they've already been flown to, especially the U.S. judge, been flown over there to UK for his free meals. I believe her free meals, her free hotels, her free whatever else they give her. We've talked about that last week as it relates to the media. You know, how do you know that is somebody that's neutral? But anyway, can't say for sure that they're not, but I can't say for sure that they are. Also, the referee. Selected. The referee, I think the only fight that I've heard of him refereeing that was even kind of a major fight was Adrian Bronner versus Ashley Theophane. So you have another inexperienced judge. And the one fight that I know of him actually him covering that was even kind of significant, it wasn't a championship fight. It had Adrian Bronner in it and Ashley Theophane. They complained about him stopping that fight too early. So, you know, this is not something like Kenny Bayless covering this fight. This is not even somebody like a Jack Reese covering this fight. It's not somebody even with the reputation of a Jay Nady covering this fight, right? This is not a top level world-renowned or a referee that has a tremendous international reputation. This is somebody that they just pulled out of the woodwork to referee this fight. So looking at the judges, seeing as several of the judges have judged several of Anthony Joshua's fights already, and a referee that has no championship experience, similar to the circumstance during the Joseph Parker fight with Anthony Joshua, where a referee was named, and you're like, who is this? Never heard of this guy. I think he was an Italian referee, something like that. Who is this dude? And then you get in the fight, and he literally does not allow Joseph Parker to fight on the inside against Anthony Joshua at all. Once Joseph Parker got on the inside and could throw shots in close to Anthony Joshua, back up and go the other way. Anthony Joshua actually turns around, goes to the other corner, and takes his own timeout in the middle of this fight. Now, take a fighter like a referee like that and put him in the first Andy Ruiz Anthony Joshua fight, where Anthony Joshua is told to come forward by the referee, and he just puts his hands on a turnbuckle and doesn't come over there. You think that referee's going to wave that fight off? More than likely not. Matter of fact, I'm tongue-in-cheek saying this, but who knows? They might have taken a point away from Anthony Joshua for taking a point away from Andy Ruiz for knocking Anthony Joshua down. Or who knows? Once Andy Ruiz got put on, got knocked down that first time, they might have just ran over there, looked at his eyes, and stopped the fight. Because you remember what happened with the referee in Carlos Takam, Anthony Joshua, how in the 11th round, Charles Takam got hit with 2 punches. He got wobbled. He did not go down. He did not stop defending himself, and they stopped the fight. Anthony Joshua was not looking good that whole fight with Carlos Takam and was having difficulties with Carlos Takam the entire fight. Now, Carlos Takam is not some world beater. Carlos Takam is like a top 15, in my opinion, right? Is a top 15 heavyweight. He's somebody whose name is recognized. He's a gatekeeper. I wouldn't quite call him a journeyman yet. Is he a journeyman or a gatekeeper? He's somewhere between a journeyman and a gatekeeper who was going 11 rounds with Anthony Joshua. There was no reason. He got kind of wobbled with a shot. He got hurt significantly less than Andy Ruiz, who went down, and they stopped the fight. If you have that same type of refereeing for the Carlos Takam fight that you had for the Andy Ruiz Anthony Joshua fight, Andy Ruiz would have got knocked out, and you would have never seen anything else happen. So you combine the defensive refereeing that took place in the Joseph Parker fight, and then look at the early stoppage that took place in the Carlos Takam fight, and you have some referee you've never heard of fighting halfway across the world for a sanctioning body, or excuse me, for a boxing commission with absolutely no championship experience whatsoever and highly suspect motives for taking a fight, and you wind up being in a situation where you can't trust it. I'm telling you ahead of time that I don't trust it, which is why I'm telling you Andy Ruiz needs a knockout to win. And not only does he need a knockout to win, he's going to need a knockout to win and make sure that he doesn't allow Anthony Joshua to land 2 punches in a row. Because as soon as, man, are you kidding me? As crooked as these dudes are, we just saw in the Callum Smith-John Ryder fight, for example. Dude, I don't have a problem with Callum Smith winning that fight. Okay? I don't have a problem with him winning the fight because I don't second guess judges' decisions. Okay. But the reason I don't second guess judges' decisions isn't because I don't ever disagree with them, or I don't think that there could potentially be some funny business there. But once it's determined, the outcome is determined, and there's no going back. Very rarely do they ever turn a knockout win or a late stoppage to a no contest. That's unless it's Guillermo Rigondeaux and you have Jim Lampley crying about it. But that's not this type of situation. I do believe politics and crowd noise and the fact that you have the promoter that's paying the bill can have an impact on a judge's perception of a fight, especially if that judge already has judged multiple fights of this guy and has been a known commodity, and you know how he's going to judge, and you know that they like a particular fighter's style. So, that's my thing. I don't doubt that Andy Ruiz, if this was a fair situation, I don't doubt at all that Andy Ruiz would have the ability to beat Anthony Joshua again. And I think he'd have the ability to beat Anthony Joshua on a decision, right? If all was fair, but all isn't fair. There's too much money on the line for these guys. These guys have shown over and over again. Eddie Hearn and Matchroom Boxing have shown in almost every area of boxing that they are not concerned with any rules. They're not concerned with rules as far as it goes to PED testing. They're not bound by the facts associated with, they will make up fight attendance numbers. They will scalp tickets. They will do whatever they have to do in order for those guys to be successful. In my opinion, the organization is completely and utterly amoral. And that says a lot when you're talking about boxing, because there's been a lot of crooks in boxing, man. You've seen a lot of funny business in boxing, but this guy, Eddie Hearn, obviously he's been around the sport a long time. As a child, seen and heard of all the dirty tricks, and is more than willing to pull all of them. I cannot see Andy Ruiz winning this fight under those circumstances, unless he knocks him out. And you'll know quickly if that referee is going to let Andy Ruiz fight, or if he's going to literally push Andy Ruiz back and make Andy Ruiz fight at a distance where he's winding up at the end of Anthony Joshua's punches. And if he gets inside and gets too close, jumps in the middle of that mug and pushes him back and says, "Hey, you're too close to him. You're inside. No. You're outside of his range. We gotta push you back." And I believe that the guy would do it. Anyway, it is what it is. Let me know what you think in the comment section. And with that, I'm out. Peace.